We've just been watching FBI Director Christopher Wray testifying before the House on the investigation into the assassination attempt on former President Trump. Wray called the attempt an attack on our democracy, saying the FBI is working tirelessly to get to the bottom of what happened. I want to bring in our Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill, along with ABC News Justice reporter Jack Date for more. Jay, one of the big things Wray just revealed here was about a drone the suspect had in his car, as well as what Wray called crude devices that could be detonated remotely. What stuck out to you from what he said so far?
Yeah, he also talked about the encrypted communication ability that they found on the suspect's phone, and he was asked by Jim Jordan how sophisticated was that, and Wray said it wasn't more sophisticated beyond than what we usually see. You know, a lot of us have encrypted messaging apps on our phone, things of that nature. I'll let Jack get into the details because he's far smarter on this than I, but there's just one point to make here, which is it just shows you how political this has gotten, that it took us a pretty decent chunk of time to get into those new details. Christopher Wray was saying to these lawmakers, essentially, ask me about motive, ask me about the FBI investigation. We've uncovered a fair amount, and he seemed wanting to share that information, and it took, you know, 3 lawmakers in finally to the chairman of the committee, Jim Jordan, before anyone even asked him about the FBI's investigation. The first lawmaker who questioned him, Dan Bishop, Republican of North Carolina, kept asking him about the Secret Service and those failures of security there, and Wray had to keep reminding him that that's a Secret Service matter. The FBI is investigating the shooter.
Jay, what does that tell you? The fact that not only did that first congressman focus on the failure of the Secret Service to protect the former president on that day, when Wray continuously said, you know, our investigation is focused on the shooter, other agencies are investigating the Secret Service, but then also, you know, Nadler asking about DEI hires and whether there's any evidence to show that race or gender impacts someone's performance in law enforcement. Why wait so long to ask about the thing that Wray is saying he has information on, the suspect in this case, and how he ended up on a roof shooting the former president? What does that tell you?
The short answer to your question is it's Congress. Welcome to Congress. The long answer is that things are always political. Nadler was saying that thing about DEI to take a jab at Republicans who had made that point before. But I think when it comes to the Secret Service investigation, you can expect it's also a symptom of the fact that Republicans in Congress really want to delve deeply into what they say were significant security failures here. And what the Secret Service has acknowledged were significant security failures here. You heard Jim Jordan make the point that Congress wants, for instance, the communications that law enforcement had amongst themselves that day, not just state and local law enforcement, but also the Secret Service as well. That is telegraphing what might be some requests coming from this committee and perhaps others to try to delve into what exactly went wrong and were there any potential lapses in communication between the various agencies that were there that day.
And Jack, what do you make of what Wray is revealing here about the suspect that they've uncovered so far? I mean, this sounds like something that was planned, but he then points out, you know, he had a remote detonator and rudimentary explosives in the car, but was far enough away that if he had tried to detonate them, they wouldn't have actually set off the devices, and encryption on his phone, but not encryption that sounds super sophisticated. What do you make of that?
Well, as far as the bomb detonators go, he had this remote control in his pocket. We saw in that video at the top of the hour, it was removed from his pocket by police. They took the battery out. But what Wray revealed for the first time is that the receivers that were attached to the bomb, the power switch was in the off position, meaning even if he'd pressed the remote to detonate the bomb, those bombs were not armed to go off, which could either be a mistake or intentional. He did not intend, perhaps, to use them at that time. So it's an interesting development to learn that. And I think Jay's absolutely right. The director is basically inviting the members to ask him more about the motive and about the communications and what they've learned in their investigation. And he's made clear that the Secret Service review is separate, but you know, he's basically inviting them to ask him more about what they're learning about these devices that they've been able to get into to beat the encryption. As he said, it was a technical hurdle that they were able to overcome. But Jim Jordan, as he walked Director Wray down that path, basically took a turn just as Wray was getting to that point where it seemed like he was about to describe what they were learning from these encrypted communications. Instead, he switched over to the timeline between 6:09 and 6:14 when the encounter with the shooter happened and when the shooting actually happened. So it seems when we come back from this brief recess for a vote that we should hear more about this if members pick up on the obvious sort of hints that Director Wray is leaving.
And I know you'll be listening closely. Jay O'Brien, Jack Date, thank you both.